What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly chapter review of Toriko chapter 351. So, I want to ask a quick question. If I am correct, I don't think we're going to have any chapters next week because Shonen Jump, Weekly Shonen Jump is going to go on break for, the end of the year. And I don't know if I'm correct or not about that, but if anyone can kind of clarify, please do in the comments below, because this might be like the final chapter of the year for Toriko. But regardless of that, though, the cliffhanger this week, damn, it kind of lets us know that the another arc, or Area 6 arc, is done. Like, it's pretty much done. I mean, there's a couple of things that need to be kind of wrapped up, but for the most part, it seems like this arc is pretty much done. So, we're going to be going probably headfirst right into what was going on with seeing Neo versus Dawn Slime, and if we get to see that like at the beginning or like the start of the next year, that's going to be pretty damn hype. But before I even get into that and talk about, the fight to what Dawn Slime did at the final part of this, chapter, let's talk about the beginning. So, another is complete, and as we already knew from last chapter, Komatsu is cooking it, and he managed to cook it quite fast in just a couple of decades. And we see the example of how Komatsu, he cooked it so well, it started like expanding out, and another just kept filling up the entire soul world, and then broke all these soul gates, which caused it to where, if you die, you can't leave the soul world, which is a really cool concept. I see what happened here. I see what the manga could try to do with this, because for one, when it comes to like a final battle of a series, sometimes those final battles don't feel like they have any tension to them, or like a fear of death. Like a character might not die because there's like no fear, no tension, or you don't really worry that a character will be permanently dead. And because of how the soul world, how it's been the main focus of this arc, and how we saw people coming back from the grave into a new body, it makes it to where the fear of death is not really there. If a character dies, let's just, do an example. Let's say if Komatsu was to die, let's say, next chapter. If the soul world was still open up, he could just get into a new body or something and he would be fine. And that's kind of remove the tension of if a character dies, they're gone for good. But with the soul world being broken completely, with another shattering all the gates, if you die, you can't come back. You're gone. Which is a really cool thing that was done in this chapter. If there's one thing I loved the most about this chapter, it was to see how the soul world is completely cut off. Like, there is no way to leave the soul world. So if you die, you're done. You're fucking done. You're gone. And that's cool. I like that. That adds more tension back to the series. If a character dies, they're dead for good. Now, there's two main segments of this chapter, besides what I just talked about. For one, Asaruti, and then also Chiyo. So let's talk about Chiyo first. So Chiyo, she meets her son. And we already know she kind of met her son a couple chapters back when we had that trippy, sequence of events in the soul world. And we get to see more about that conversation from Chiyo's perspective. She meets her son, and starts talking to her son. And they have this giant conversation of how the son's like, I forgive you, you showed me a lot of affection and all this. And it was a really nice way to conclude this little side character story arc for Chiyo. And I felt like the way it was handled was quite well. It was a great little ribbon on top for that character. And to see how she was able to accept that, it put a smile on my face. And it brought those feels. Like, there was a lot of feels in this chapter. And if this really is the final chapter of the year, it does suit. Because there was a lot of conclusions to this chapter. Like, wrapping up certain plot elements or plot threads throughout the entire arc. I mean, you have it to where the soul world's handled. We have it to where Dawn Slime has pretty much found a body. Even though it's not Ichiru, he still has found a body. And he's going to be using Asaruti as a host to be able to fight Neo. So, as we can probably already assume, when Neo and Dawn Slime are fighting later on, in the upcoming arc, that means Dawn Slime is not at his max potential. Because he is not in Ichiru's body. And that just goes to show you that Dawn Slime is still not at that pinnacle to where he possibly could be if Ichi was there. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to finding out how Dawn Slime really is in his prime. If he's with Ichi, Prime Ichi, and also with, him being inside of him. I wonder how that would be. But the next thing to point out, though, is how Dawn Slime's ability, once again, was fleshed out to us. We got to find out that Dawn Slime can change into anything. He could change his cells to be anything. For instance, he could be a plant, he could be a fucking person, he could be a book. I mean, he could be anything he wants. Objects or living animated objects. He could be anything. And when you see that, it kind of is scary in a sense. Because Dawn Slime has a broken-ass ability. If he can make or change into anything, and also he's kind of like everywhere, that's pretty damn broken. That's really fucking broken. Dawn Slime is scary, and we don't really know how to peg Dawn Slime yet in the series. Like, we don't really know if he's 100% good or 100% evil. We don't really know, because, I mean, we know he wants Ichi, we know he wants to fight Neo, but with some of his, I guess, motives or actions he's done in the past and different things like that, you don't really know how to peg him, if he's a good or bad guy. But I have to say, though, the way Asarudi's past was revealed to us, like when he finally remembered after eating another, and he realized the long-forgotten promise he made to his lover, that was pretty sad as well. Even though I wasn't a big fan of him, and I wasn't, you know, that attached to him, and I didn't really know this girl that, you know, had this promise with him and died too well, it was still very sad. It was a heart-touching scene just to see how this side character got that type of development, and how, you know, he's like, I'm willing to give up my body, and I want to fulfill my promise with her and meet her once again, even though he won't be able to come back. So that was a very sweet conclusion to that character as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing where Toriko's going to go next. Very cool stuff in this chapter. And, I mean, yeah, a lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff. Let me know your thoughts. What was your favorite part of this chapter? Did you like the Chiyo segment? Did you like the Asarudi segment? Do you like the Dawn Slime where he revealed more about his abilities? How'd you feel about the Soul World being kind of closed up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.